Hey guys, it's Britt and welcome back to my channel. Today we are making whole food plant-based poutine. Poutine is a Canadian dish that is french fries, gravy, and cheese curds, and I've found a way of making it whole food plant-based, oil-free. This recipe is delicious. The cheese curds is actually made with white beans, and I just adore this recipe. It's so easy and simple. It's my favorite way to eat potatoes, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. Again, all of the measurements and everything is down in our description box below, so make sure you check that out, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one very soon, but make sure you watch this video to get this recipe. It's our all-time favorite. Go ahead and cut up any potatoes that you want to use for the french fries. We're going to use 4 to 5 russet potatoes for ours. You can use any kind of potatoes that you have, and I am just coating them with onion powder, garlic powder, and smoked paprika and giving it a nice toss. You do not need oil for this. You don't even have to use seasoning. This is just what we do when we make fries, and so it's really easy just to grab whatever you have in your pantry for this. As long as you have potatoes, you're good. And you can bake these or air fry them. We're going to air fry them today at 400 degrees for 18 minutes. And I'm using my Breville Smart Oven Air. It has a large air frying basket that we adore. It's literally my favorite kitchen tool that we have. It dehydrates, it proofs bread, it air fries, it does pretty much everything. And I have it linked in our Amazon shop down below, so if you're interested you can check it out, but it was totally worth the investment. So you can bake these or air fry them. Just make sure you spread them out evenly and you're ready to go for the next step. For the next part, we're going to do the cheese curds. This just needs a blender. It doesn't have to be a high-speed blender, but any blender will work. I'm adding 3/4 cups of water, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, half a cup of white beans that were cooked, drained, and rinsed. I just used canned white beans for this. I have our seasonings here. We have 1 tablespoon of nutritional yeast, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. I have miso. I'm using white miso, 1 teaspoon of white miso. You can kind of play around with how much you like to use for that. And then 3 tablespoons of tapioca starch or flour. You're just going to let everything blend until the white beans are really blended well. That's really the point we're looking at, that everything has been blended. It should only take you a couple minutes since we're not using nuts for this part of the recipe. Once everything is well combined, you can stop your blender. We're going to move it to a stovetop pot because we're going to thicken it up in a minute. After you've done moving your cheese curd liquid over to your stove pot, you want to give your blender a rinse because we're going to need it for the gravy that's coming next. So you can just set that aside with a whisk so that we can heat that up right before we're ready to top our french fries. Moving on to the gravy, I have 2 cups of vegetable stock that I'm adding. I also sauteed 12 ounces of baby bella mushrooms in some vegetable stock that I'm going to add now. So you can just, really any mushroom that you have will work with this. It doesn't have to be baby bella mushrooms. Those are just our favorite. This is going to give it a nice umami flavor and that coloring that we want. I have half a cup of raw cashews. You also could use half a cup of white beans if you don't want to use nuts. And I have 2 tablespoons of oat flour. This is our thickening agent. You can also use cornstarch. 2 teaspoons of white miso for our salt. You can play around with how much you want to use for that. And then in here I have 1 teaspoon of thyme or sage. Pretty much any seasonings that are Thanksgiving gravy like will work for this. I also have 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast and some black pepper that I've topped it with. And we're just going to blend this all until the cashews, or if you chose to use white beans, are nicely incorporated. Everything's really mixed well. If you have a Vitamix, you can let the gravy get warm. If you don't have a Vitamix, you can pour it out and heat it on the stovetop. We really want our gravy to be hot when you serve it. That's a huge part of making this. So you might want to move it over to the stovetop if you don't, but definitely make sure it is warm when you're putting it on top of your french fries. Now moving back to the cheese curds, you want to get a whisk and you want to whisk constantly. I have this on medium-high heat, and all of a sudden your cheese curd recipe will just thicken out of nowhere. So really you don't want to burn it. Just keep whisking. When you think that nothing's happening, I promise you, all of a sudden it gets real thick and gooey, so you don't want to stop. Again, it takes around, once it hits a minute, I would say once it hits around 3 minutes, that's when it really starts to become magical and ooey and gooey. So just keep going. Turn the heat off right away whenever it comes together, and you just want to remove it from the heat so it doesn't burn. But really just keep that whisk going, and you will see that it starts to look a resemblance of cheese, which is pretty crazy. But that tapioca starch really helps thicken it up. And all we have to do now is assemble. So I have our potatoes that I cooked in our air fryer. We're going to grab them onto a plate. And just cook as many potatoes as you want to eat or your family wants to eat. The gravy and the cheese curls really do keep well in the refrigerator, and you can reheat them at a later time. So if you want to make a small batch and you have leftovers, that's totally fine. That's probably what we're going to do, because the gravy does make kind of a decent amount. All right, I'm going to get all of ours on our plate. And I just cooked ours in our Breville Smart Oven Air. It is my favorite convection oven, dehydrator, air fryer. We love it, and it's linked in our Amazon shop if you guys want to get it. One of the reasons I really like the Breville is that it has a huge air frying basket, so you can do a large amount of fries, which is perfect because we like some fries. So I have them all on our plate. And what I'd like to do now is to drizzle some of the gravy. Now make sure it's warm when you're serving this. You can let it heat up in your Vitamix like we did, or you can move it onto your stovetop and heat it there. But I just do a little, you can put as much gravy as you'd like. Do a little pour over top. I like our gravy to be semi-coated. That looks pretty good. And like I said, the rest of it, I'll just keep. We can use it for gravy for another recipe. I can make this again. It's great. And then take dollops of your cheese curds and you just want to kind of dollop them all around. And again, put as much as you'd like or as little as you'd like. And we love it. So good. And you can also tweak the salt and pepper ratio to be what you like. So you can test as you go. Gosh, this already looks so good. And I just take little dollops and kind of randomly place them. It smells so amazing though. Oh my gosh. What a fun treat. Can't wait for you guys to try this. This tastes so good. All right, so I'm gonna try one. And so you have to try it with a little bit of everything, with the cheese curds and the gravy, right? I'm gonna break off one and kind of sandwich it. There we go. It's a good bite. You would never know that that is beans and not cheese curled. Oh my gosh. And the gravy. This might be a 10 out of 10 for me. I don't know. It's definitely up there. So I hope you guys tried this. Leave us a comment. Again, all of this is written out down in our description box below and our website. And I hope you guys make this and try it real soon. Make sure you're subscribed. I make new whole food plant-based recipes every week, most times twice a week. And I will see you guys very soon in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.